Welcome to the Women of Ihsan podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and this is an invitation to join me and our amazing guests to find inspiration and insights into your own journey to Ihsan. If you ever feel overwhelmed or confused along the way, I'm also here to support you so you can tackle your challenges with confidence and make progress towards this lofty goal. To find out more about my work, check the episode description and make sure to subscribe.
والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala rasulillah. Welcome to a new episode of the Women of Ihsan podcast. So, with me today, I have the pleasure to host Hiba Fathima. Hiba is an Islamic career and legacy coach, dietitian, and author who is passionate about helping Muslims align their careers with their faith. She completed her hifdh in the summer of 2018 and is currently majoring in Ulum al Quran from Madinah International University in Malaysia. As a certified coach and student of knowledge, she combines her professional knowledge with Islamic perspective in her coaching practice. Once again, thank you so much for making the time, Hiba, and welcome. Salam alaikum.
Thank you so much. Wa alaikum salam. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much. So we will get started, inshallah. I'm really excited to get to know more about yourself. So can you tell us about your background? Maybe share a personal story that you find is relevant in the context of our podcast today.
All right, inshallah. So, like you mentioned, I'm an Islamic career and hifdh coach, and that actually started with I actually never thought I would actually get into this. Like, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has his ways and makes, writes our stories the best way possible. When I was in high school, I used to always think like, what should I, take, what should I study in university and what should I work as? What should be my career? And these questions were like very important because I am a very goal-oriented person and I need to know what I'm going to work towards. And I used to have these long conversations every time with my mom. And at the end of all of that, we would just finish by saying, you know what, just make dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you to what is right for you when the time is right. But I really wanted to learn more. There was this aspect of me, and then there was the other aspect, which was understanding Islam and studying Islam. And as you learn more, you always have more questions. Okay, you always hear that, okay, women are not supposed to work, or like it's better for them not to work. And those were questions that I wanted to answer for myself. Is it right for me? Is it the best thing for me to do? And also, not even as a Muslim woman, just as a Muslim, if I'm working or if I try to be ambitious, is that chasing dunya? So those were all questions I had, and answering those questions in the context of career was quite a challenge because you don't quite often hear about that. And so anytime I would hear about it, I would ask someone, they would just leave me even more confused than, I was before. So I started learning Islam and started addressing those questions. I started to learn more about, selecting a good career from the self-help books and the secular sources, not necessarily from Islam. And then I tried to connect back that back to my faith because I choose to be a Muslima who has an Islamic lifestyle. So that was a journey, and subhanAllah, that led me to picking what was right for me, and I decided to study nutrition and become a dietitian. But along the way, what happened was I had my notes, and at that time I used to make a lot of presentations. So it was like natural for me to make notes in the form of a presentation. So whatever I learned from my journey, I just put that through a presentation. And once I was just sitting with my uncle and I shared that with him, and he was like, you actually need to share this with my son and daughter. And I was like, okay, fine. That's a good idea. I can help them with selecting what they want to study or like what their career should be. And at that time, I had no idea what coaching was. I was not aware of this entire thing that existed. And I was just like, okay, let me help them. And we just did like 1 hour crash course. And we went through everything. And subhanAllah, I was like, okay, I think I need to do this more. Like, there are so many people who feel lost about what they should study, what they should do in life, especially in the age gap of 18 to 30 years old. You were really lost and you don't know after you graduate university what you want to do. So I put together a coaching program, and then I was like, no, the coaching program isn't enough. It's not enough. Like, there's so much. Like, as I continue to reflect on it, I keep learning every day. So how can I just like combine all of this in one place for, people to benefit from Muslims to benefit from. So I made a booklet initially, and then the booklet was like not it. So I thought, you know what, I should actually start to write a book. And for me, I always wanted to write a book. I just never thought it would be about this subject.
Subhanallah. May Allah grant you, tawfiq in spreading this knowledge, beneficial knowledge, inshallah.
Mhm.
Allahumma ameen. Um, like everyone else, we come across problems and challenges. Are there specific, is there a specific challenge that you had, and what lesson can you share that you draw from these difficult times?
So, in terms of my career, like there was so many times where I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. And I used to think a lot about it. I used to ask some of my older cousins. I used to talk with my aunt sometimes, and we used to talk. Sometimes with my friends, I would ask them what they want to do. And there was this one time I was very set on, taking a Montessori teachers training because I went to a Montessori school and I know how that is, so much better than the normal public school. And so I wanted to do Montessori training so that I can start an Islamic Montessori school for, the kids around me, inshallah. And that would be like the best and amazing thing that I can do for myself. And that's actually what I thought, having a good environment for kids right from when they're young, they're growing up in this Islamic environment. Let me teach them other life skills when they're with me in there, because there's like a lot of things I learned at my Montessori school. It was not just studies. I barely
And
remember there.
sorry to interrupt you, but where was that? The Montessori school?
Oh, it was in Hyderabad, my city where I live.
Hmm.
It's Hyderabad, India.
Ah, okay, okay. Oh, I didn't know that we also have Montessori school there. Subhanallah.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of them now, alhamdulillah.
Ah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I know that's it's another system, and we also have that in Europe, and it's quite different. And
Mhm.
I'm not an expert in that. Obviously, you would know better, but from my understanding, it is more respectful of the child's development,
Yeah.
of the child temperament and nature. Subhanallah.
Yeah, actually in the teacher's training, you actually study child psychology for
Hmm.
the age group that you're going to teach. They have different certifications for each group, and you need to study that child psychology and how you should approach them. And yeah, it's a very different approach, I can say that.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
wanted to do that. But what
Hmm.
happened was, I was 1 month short of turning 18 when the course started. And they actually said, nope, you can't join the course until you are 18 on the day that it starts. And I was like, come on, like it's just like a month.
Mm.
And so what happened was me and like I had some good references, alhamdulillah, my Montessori teachers that I studied with, and I did an interview and we did all of it, and everything was fine. Everything was perfect. It was just the 1 month being short of turning 18, and they said, no, you can't get in. And it was very hard and painful to think about it back then, because when you think about, okay, this is what you want to do and you're very passionate about it and you know that that's the best thing that you can do, it's very, difficult to move past it. And so I was trying to seek comfort in the fact that when I was applying, I did my istikhara. And I was like, okay, I did my istikhara. Maybe this is not what's good for me, and maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to stay away from it and give me something else. And subhanallah, now looking back, I think it was amazing that happened because I didn't know what's going to happen. Like right after a few months, after that, I joined my Islamic university. So I started like studying Islamic studies full time. So if I were not if I was just going to go into Montessori, I would go into that training. I would probably have been very busy with studying that and maybe moving forward with that. And I wouldn't have gotten this chance of studying Islam for myself, in such depth. So, what I would say with the lesson that I learned from myself is that, you can think what is the best for you and you should think about it. You should reflect on it. You should consult with people and you should try your very best to achieve that. And at the end, though, you should not, be focused on the result. You should not be focused on the outcome because outcome is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You try your best, you think, you reflect, and you do istikhara and leave it on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If that's good for you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make ways for you. If not, He will give you something that's way better than that. So
Mm.
that's one lesson that I learned from this journey.
Subhanallah, yeah, subhanallah. It is just learning to let go. Like you said, we strive, we put in the efforts, and then the result is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are there, any misconception or limiting beliefs that were holding you back at some point? And how did you overcome them?
In terms of limiting beliefs, one thing about me is that I am a very overly optimistic person. Sometimes people think like I'm very like, oh, way too much, too optimistic. Like I shouldn't be that optimistic in life. But alhamdulillah, I think for the most part, I did not have many limiting beliefs. But it's not a belief, but I would say sometimes I would have this in my mind that, I want to do this and I can achieve that. And, because I know so much, there's just the unique perspective that I have that other people don't have. And I used to have that, thing because I thought that it was because of my interest and because of what I was exposed to that I had this unique experience that I developed this perspective of this knowledge. But then there was like one moment where I realized that it was not me. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who molded me like this. He placed those things in my path that shaped who I am, that shaped my perspective. So I wouldn't say it was a limiting belief, but it was a perspective shift on what I became or like who I am. So it was like stepping down on your ego and like letting go of that arrogance and realizing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who made you who you are. I think that was one thing that I realized in the past few years that I think is very liberating in a way.
Mm. Did something happen for you to have this reflection, or it was just something progressive and you just came to this realization?
No, I don't think so. There was something that happened. It was just like me and my thoughts. And like you have those thoughts like when you're trying to go to bed and you can't literally fall asleep and you're thinking about so many different things.
Mm.
So for me, like I am very ambitious. So I like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. So I was like, how it was not like those just the thoughts that I used to have, and then I just realized that at one moment in those like times where I was thinking before I went to sleep,
Mm.
bed.
Mm. Mm. Okay, I find it always interesting, to hear from the sisters how faith is helping them, like in your everyday life, but also how it shapes our perspective. And this is another example of how you had this shift in your perspective because of your faith. Um,
Yeah.
is there something else that that's really um, that your faith, your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped you in your life, and how it changed maybe your worldview?
So for me, we always grew up learning about how we were only created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and this world is just a test. And, for me, sometimes it felt like very superficial because how is it possible for you to just like live and just worship and then die? I never understood that fully. And that was one of the reasons why I started to dive deep into, the career and what it has to do with our faith and how we can maybe use that to how we can make that a part of our faith. So there was this one thing or like realizations and as I studied and I learned more, I think there was like one point when I realized that, being having this deen and dunya separate is not how our world should be. Our deen and dunya are literally the same thing. And when we try to think about our akhirah and our jannah, we just focus on our personal ibadat, such as salah and zakat and hajj and umrah and reciting the Quran and all of these things. And one perspective shift that really helped me is that these are not just ibadas. These are not the only things that are ibadas. Everything else in your life is also a big part of your ibadah. Your sleep, your work, and everything else is an ibadah. It just depends on your perspective. And if you are doing that in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're doing something that's within the boundary of Islam. you're doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed you to do, then you are, taking care of yourself, for example, because our body is an amana. You're working to provide for your family. That is worship, and everything else is worship. And from Surah Al-Asr, there was this point where I realized, the four things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to do to attain Jannah without going to hellfire, because that's the bare minimum level of success. He's not talking about like the people who attain Jannah on the highest levels. He's talking about the people who do bare minimum just to, get past Jahannam and enter Jannah. The fourth thing he said is إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, except for the people who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who do good deeds. These are the two things that we focus on when we talk about our akhirah. But there's like so much more. He says like half of it, it's still remaining. It says وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And we just generalize this concept of conveying the truth and doing that with patience to just da'wah. It's not just da'wah. Yes, there's like da'wah, but there's like so much more than that. As an ummah, we have a responsibility of تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, to enjoin good and forbid evil. The Prophet ﷺ said that when each one
Sallallahu
of
alaihi
us looks at something, an unjust thing, then we should stop it either with our hand, with our tongue, or at least at bare minimum feel bad about it. So there was a point where I realized that, okay, we just want to live a normal life, keep our deen to ourselves, and just work in the outside world, just like the secular concept of things, like keep your religion at home. And we're forgetting about this main important thing, that is like when you see injustice, stop it, convey the truth, stand up for the truth, work for the betterment of your community, and make your community a better place to live. And I think that perspective shift really helped me to place things in my life. And the big part of what I do is the career coaching, Islamic career coaching, because I help them rethink all of this. There's like so much more to this. And as I continued to learn more, I was like I felt very compelled to share this perspective in specific with other people, and that's mainly what my book is about.
MashaAllah. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and that's definitely much needed. So again, may Allah grant you success on this path, and inspiring more people, especially the sisters out there. So as we are on the Women of Ihsan podcast, I also would like to ask you personally, in at this time, like at this point in your life, what does it mean for you to strive, for ihsan? Because we know it might change. It's not something that's forever. But as of today, how does it look like? How does it translate in your life?
So for me, it's actually funny because like my personal brand before it became a personal brand, it was the Ihsan Quest. That was my coaching practice name. So it was basically to help other people bring Ihsan in their lives. So for me, like I growing up, my mom always said that whatever you're doing, do it the best way possible. Because if you're studying, do it the best. Like do put in everything you have. Be If you can get on the top of the class, then you should be on top of the class. If you're working around the house, then your house should be the cleanest house. So I think one part of it comes from my mom, and then the other part of it was inspired by the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he
Sallallahu
said
alaihi
that
wasallam.
in Allah kataba al-ihsana ala kulli shay, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed ihsan in every aspect of your life. And the example that he gives in that hadith is like just mind blowing. He mentions like the slaughtering of animals and being nice to them. So if the Prophet ﷺ is emphasizing having
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
ihsan with an animal, I can't think of like how important it is to have ihsan in our everyday life. For me, if ihsan right now is a little complicated, but I try my best to, bring ihsan in my life in terms of my routine and in terms of my deen. There's like always like we are not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes, and we are created that way because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us human beings and our nature is to make mistakes. The Prophet ﷺ said, Kullu bani
Sallallahu
Adam
alaihi wasallam.
khata, that every son of Adam makes mistakes. وَخَيْرُ الْخَطَّائِينَ التَّوَّابُونَ, and the best of those who make mistakes are those who fix those mistakes. So yes, we make a lot of mistakes, but like just getting back on track after we make those mistakes is my concept of ihsan for the time being. Getting back into routine. There's like a lot of things that since I've been focusing on the book, have been very out of routine and I need to get back to that. So my concept of ihsan in my life right now is to fix the mistakes that I'm making and try to be consistent with my goals.
Mashallah. And that's already a lot. Don't worry about that. It's I feel like just just living with that, like not being completely heedless, is already a really good, like not a good start, but well, depending on where you are on your journey, it could be a good start, but it's also more than what most of people are doing. Just being aware, okay, there is something called ihsan. I need to do my best, which is very different, and we talked about it previously. It is very different from wanting things to be perfect, because perfection only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just
Yeah.
doing your best any given day, and given your circumstances, because like you said, you were writing a book which is very demanding, and some of your routines might get disrupted, but that's okay and that's fine, as long as again you have in mind, okay, I'm trying to do my best here, so for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with inshallah sincere intentions. So again, it's not something that's complicated on an individual level. It's more about having this awareness. And that's why I like asking this question, because every time there's a different answer,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
Um, and so that, the audience, as you listen to it, and also myself, when I listen back, I can hear, okay, how it's not just, there's not one path to ihsan. There's not one path to the pleasure of Allah and Jannah. There are as many paths as there are personalities. And as long as, like you said earlier, you are operating within the boundaries of Islam, then you have your place. Like you have a role to play, and um, just do it with ihsan, inshallah. Um,
Yeah, I
next, I
agree
would
with you.
yes,
Just like we have those moments of falls, but like just making sure that those falls don't go below our obligations, and
yeah.
then making sure that we go as high as we can on the good days, inshallah, to achieve ihsan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly, exactly. And always keep ourselves in check with our intentions. And like you mentioned earlier, arrogance, it's something which is, it can creep into our hearts without us realizing that. And subhanAllah, when when you get this awareness of how much we need to clean our inner self, you really don't have time to worry about what's happening outside, and because you're more worried about protecting the good deeds that you're trying to do, subhanallah. But anyway, that's another conversation. But I find it really interesting to just remind ourselves of that. um, I also want to hear about, as you are starting this incredible journey and career, um, what kind of impact and legacy would you like to leave behind? And again, it's a moving target. I'm sure if I ask you in 1 year or 5 years, you might have a different answer. But for the time being, what's the vision that you're passionate about?
Those words are like very key words that I love and I rarely hear from other people. So that was actually very nice to hear. For me, what kind of a legacy do I want to leave behind? And what kind of a goal that I want to work towards? So for me, my three values in my work is number one, being sincere, that an-nusuh, the sincerity of like wanting good for other people and being genuine. The other one is ihsan, and the third one is impact. So I really want to, be a person who makes a difference, because like there's so many people in the world who come and go, and you never know, like they don't leave a big impact on the world. And now what I mean by that is not, an impact so that other people remember you, but like an impact so that you benefit from it yourself, because our legacy is going to be our akhirah. So not building a legacy for other people to remember you by, but in fact building that legacy for yourself, so that inshallah even after you die you continue to receive rewards for that. So for me, my role model, I would say, in terms of what the work that I want to do is, have you heard of Sheikh Muhammad al-Sharif rahimahullah?
Yes, rahimallah.
Yeah, so I really admire the work that he did. He was the person who, did so much background work. He was the person who set stage for so many different things and different organizations and education, Islamic education. As he called himself like the nation builder, I aspire to be that kind of a nation builder. That he is like one of my role models. And in terms of my life, what like that's my role model in terms of my work, but in terms of my life, I really look up to Khadija radiallahu anha, because I I don't understand how she did all. She was the loving mother. She was the, supporting wife of the Prophet ﷺ. She took care of everything. She from packing a tiffin for him, a lunch for him, and carrying it all the way up to the cave of Hira while she was 50, to all the way financing his dawah and supporting him financially, looking after him emotionally, and all of that, and still being like such a successful woman, and all of that while she had a very luxurious and comfortable life growing up. I really admire her, and I wish that inshallah when I can learn from her and become somewhat like her. From our role models from this time, I really look up to Sheikh Haifa and Dr. Rania Awad. Like, both women are very close to Quran, doing a lot of amazing work for the Muslim communities, especially women, and all the way very successful in their careers. Both of them are doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, mashallah, amazing. It's really amazing to have um these people around us, like living with us, that we could actually meet. Subhanallah, may Allah protect them, may Allah preserve them, and grant us, grant us the risk of benefiting from this knowledge, and may Allah
I
keep
mean,
them and all of us steadfast. Allahumma ameen.
I mean,
Um, so, is there, a message or a piece of advice that you would like to give the audience?
if there was any advice that I would give, it would be aim high, don't aim low, because what do you gain out of aiming low? When you aim high, even like the Prophet ﷺ told us to aim high.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
He told when he asked us to make dua for Jannah, he told us to aim for Al Firdaus. And Al Firdaus is the highest level of Jannah, and only thing above it is the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so he's teaching every single one of us to make dua for Al Firdaus. Like, if you think about it, not everybody's gonna go in Al Firdaus, but the Prophet ﷺ is asking us
Sallallahu
to
alaihi
make
wasallam.
dua for Al Firdaus. So he's teaching us to aim high. And so, like, I came across this quote when I was in high school, like right about the time where I was going to start my hifth. And um I was like, what was the code? Oh, aim for the moon. If you miss, you'll land among the stars. And I was like, okay, let me start this. And I just took that and made a goal for myself that I'm going to finish my hifz in 7 months. And everybody who heard me was like, she's crazy. Like, who memorizes Quran in 7 months? And true, I couldn't memorize the Quran in 7 months, but it did help me, finish my hifz in under 10 months. Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
So it's like, don't aim low, just aim high. You have so much more potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And unless you explore that and work on yourself, you will not know what you're capable of.
So thank you so much for this beautiful advice. I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of people. And subhanallah, I also came across a quote recently, which says, I posted it on my Instagram. It says something like, dream big because it takes as much time to dream small. And so I really like that, because it is true that when you are planning for something, whether it's big or small, you're going to put in some kind of effort and energy. So you might as well do something big for yourself. And even if you don't reach that big goal, and at least you will have the next best thing.
Yeah, if like even if you're not as bright as the moon in the sky, you'll still be one of those stars out there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, inshallah khair. You mentioned some of, incredible teachers that we have, but is there someone else that you would like to see on the podcast as a guest? And what would you like to ask her?
If I would want somebody to be on this podcast, it would probably be Dr. Rania and Dr. Haifa. And I would probably want to ask them about how was it like for them to, study Islam all the while they were working and studying and had other responsibilities in their lives, because working and studying is hard. You have so much more going on and it's very hard to focus. Like since working on the book, like I've been finding very difficult to focus on my studies. And yeah, so I would want to ask that question. How did
Mhm.
you manage it and how did that look like?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would love to have him on the podcast, but again, let's dream big.
Yeah, let's dream big.
Let's dream big, and inshallah, it might happen. Why not? If not this year, then next year, or you never know. Inshallah, khair. May Allah grant us what's best for us for our dunya and akhirah. Hiba, last but not least, how can people find out more about your work, follow you on social media?
Yeah, so they can find me on Instagram at it's Hiba Fatima, ITSHIBAFATHIMA, because like there's a lot of time like people misspell my name. So
Okay, I will put it in the episode description so that they
oh
just
yeah.
need to click on they just need to click on the link.
All right. You can find me on Instagram, inshallah, and you can probably reach out to me and learn more about my work on my website as well.
Mhm.
And we'll probably have the link to the book as well in the description.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If there's anything new, I can update. You
Did
just
I
need
mention
to.
the name of the book? It's
I
beyond.
don't think no, you didn't do that. Yeah, yeah. So you have
Yeah,
maybe we can conclude the episode with
yeah.
you talking about your book, mashallah, Beyond Income. So
Finding
just
purpose and Jannah through work. Yeah.
yeah, mashallah. So maybe you can do a short synopsis and just give us enough to be to get on the book. And when is it out already, or
It's
it's
going
in
to
the
be out.
making?
Episode is out. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's going to be out on 30th of October. So by the time the episode comes out, it will be available.
Oh, okay. Inshallah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Inshallah. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, so just share the link whenever available, and I will share this. Can you talk about, the introduction to the book? What is it all about? What can we expect to find in your book?
Yeah, so like I talked about, like having that phase to go through for myself, figuring out what is Islam's take on career, what is like the deen dunya balance, or like what if does that even exist, or like for me, like the conclusion that I came to was the deen is dunya and dunya is deen. So how this book is about how your career can actually build your jannah, and not only just any career, like your dream career can build your jannah for you. And I go through there's different sections in the book. The first section would be to understand your perspective and where you are in life, because unless you know where you are, you can't get to where you want to be. If you type a location in and turn the GPS on, it won't give the directions until you put your location in. It will just
Exactly.
show you on the map, that's where it
Yeah.
is, that's where you want
Mm.
to go. But if you want to know how to go there, you need to know where you are in life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the first section. And then the second section is about understanding and reframing this entire perspective of what's Deen Dunya, what does this look like, what does Islam has to say about work, and how do you get to Jannah, the concept of Zuhd and legacy and all of that stuff, inshallah. And the third section is about, taking some inspiration, because like if we just start with our own plan, we just start like think very small. So the purpose of that is like to make you think big and see the other people's life stories and legacies and what was possible for them, to explore what will be possible for you. And we talk about the Prophet ﷺ and how he was an
Sallallahu alaihi
outstanding
wasallam.
person even before he actually became a prophet. And sometimes we forget about that part of his life. So yeah, I talk about that, some of the companions and some of the people from our recent history. And the fourth part is about how you can make your legacy, how you can build your legacy and your plan, your Jannah through your work. So fourth section is all about you and how you can build that. And the fifth section is just a bonus section for you, things that, and will help inshallah along the way of you building this legacy. It's called the your legacy building arsenal. So yeah, that's what the book is about.
Mashallah, mashallah. And it's going to be out in a few days. And by the time the episode is out, you can click on the link and go and buy the book, inshallah. Mashallah, that's amazing, Hiba. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us today. That's really inspiring to have, such young sisters who are um, who are students of knowledge, but also have this perspective on life that Deen is dunya and dunya is deen, and everything that we do in this life is a means to our Jannah. So, mashallah, again, may Allah grant you success and tawfiq.
I mean,
And inshallah, I'm looking forward to hear more about what you do in the future. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. And I love having people coming from all around the world, from so many like different backgrounds, so that you can't say listening to this that there's nothing for you, like nothing resonates with me. It's just not possible. You have here a young student of knowledge from India, who's already an author, mashallah, tabarakallah, and hafidh of the Quran. So, you just have, again, like Hiba said, you need to aim high, because why not? Just why not? Do you have something just to close the podcast before we say goodbye? Hiba, would you like to add anything?
I think we have covered most of the things, but if I were to add one more thing, I would probably say that, with our misconception of this dunya being a fitna and like not taking it very seriously and distancing ourselves from leadership roles and, being communally active, I think we have done a huge injustice to ourselves because now that we want to stand up for our people, people suffering around the world, Muslims, from Uyghurs, Sudanese, and Palestinian people and Kashmiris and all of the people who are suffering, and it would be unjust for me to not mention all of them, but you know um, if we really want to help them, I think it's high time that we step into these leadership roles and think of this as a part of our deen, as building our Jannah, because we are inshallah stopping injustice and inshallah making the world a better place to live. I think that would be the last thing I would add.
Yeah, definitely. Jazakallah khairan for this. Indeed, we can't, like everything we do, ihsan is also, it's also about thinking about the ummah. Like the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the ummah is like one body. And when one part is hurting, and we can see it's not only one part, a few parts of the body are really, really hurt and suffering, and the body has a fever. But subhanallah, it is, like you said, high time that we take responsibility on an individual level, and then, like Allah says in the Quran, He will not change the state of the community, the nation, if we don't change what's within ourselves. So start with yourself, and then you will see the ripple effect around you, around you. And inshallah, the intention is not for this dunya. We don't know, are we going to see the results of our efforts, but we will see that in the afterlife, inshallah. So thanks for this reminder, Hiba. And I think that's about it for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please tag us on Instagram, leave a comment wherever you're listening to the podcast, which is on YouTube, on Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you would like to see someone as a guest, also feel free to message me, and I will be happy to try to get in to connect with this person if I'm not already. And inshallah, we'll try to make it happen. Hiba, thanks again, and jazakallah khairan, and salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It was a pleasure. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.